Good afternoon. My name's Murph, and welcome to my site, which is called Prog Monster. We're here basically to discuss rock music. My particular genre is progressive rock, hence the name Prog Monster. Today we're doing an album look back at a classic album, and the one we're going to be doing today is this one, Genesis Trick of the Tail. A brief history for me with this album is that it was the first Genesis album I ever owned. My friend had it, and then I bought it. Around this time period, it was maybe at that point in time when I bought it, I think it was the late 1970s. This album was already a few years gone past, but he recommended it, and we bought it, and we listened to it. It instantly became one of my favorite albums. And even today, it's been almost 40 years or more than 40 years since I've had this album, and it's still my particular favorite Genesis album. But there's a lot of the Peter Gabriel era stuff that has really come on lately, and I suspect at some point this album will be replaced by one of them because they're just fantastic, some fantastic albums. But this one has a kind of a soft spot for me because it was my first Genesis album and had a huge impact on me. I played it a lot. Over the time period, some of the songs that were originally my favorites have now been replaced by some of the other tracks and have become more of my favorites. This particular Genesis has Phil Collins as the lead vocalist, of course, and doing drums. Tony Banks is the keyboardist, of course. Mike Rutherford, I think, plays bass primarily on here. He may do some guitar tracks as well, I'm not sure. And of course, Steve Hackett on guitars. The guy is a musician, a magician when it comes to that kind of mellowy kind of acoustic electric guitar riffs, like just some really good stuff. Just discuss some of the tracks on the album. The album was released in 1976. I got the other album the same year, Wind and the Wuthering, both top shelf albums. This one here is a masterpiece for me. Starts out with the song Dance on the Volcano, which is a real catchy kind of upbeat song. I love the guitar on this. I really love the kind of up and down kind of pace that it has. It's just a real classic in it. And initially, it was probably my favorite song on the album. Kind of gone down a bit since then, but it's been replaced by some real classic tracks. The next song on it, Entangled, another one of those tracks. Initially, Entangled and Ripples were not songs I cared much for. They were a little bit too mellow for me, but they've since become probably, my top 2 or 3 favorite songs on the album. Entangled just that kind of goes, a nice mellow beat that kind of goes on. This song kind of reminds me like it should have been on Trespass. And it would have made a good song for that album. Fantastic song though, just love it. Squonk, of course, is a classic song, telling a story about characteristically soft human being that was, they tell it through an animal's eyes, who was shy and disappeared. It's just a real crunching along song. It's one of the heavier songs on the album. Although this album I wouldn't classify as being a very particularly heavy song, heavy album. It's typical Genesis. It's got a couple songs on it that are a little heavier than others, but generally speaking, it's the prog part about it that I really like. Madman Moon has grown on me over time too. I think Phil Collins' voice on this is really good. The rock radio stable, Robbery, Assault and Battery, fantastic tune. It's one of those shower songs. I love to sing it all the time when I'm doing it. it might be my favorite song on the album right now, and it wasn't always that way with this song, but I've kind of liked it since the beginning, but it never was never kind of had reached the top. But then you got Ripples. This song, what do you got to say about it? It's just a classic Genesis song. Fantastic song, real catchy. I love to sing it. I love the lyrics. Just a great. Now the second last song on the album, "Trick of the Tail," is a little bit different than a lot of this stuff. It kind of is like "Dance on a Volcano." It's a little bit bouncy, but it's not as hard of a song as "Dance on the Volcano." But a real good track if you like stories, and I do. I like stories. I love the lyrics on a lot of these stuff. And then Los Endos is an instrumental that ends the album, kind of like what Gorilla is on The Wind and the Wuthering. Los Endos is maybe a little bit better of a song. I think it's probably the weakest track on the album, but it's not by any means a weak track. Just like the only kind of song, all the songs on this album are like ones and twos. Like there's nothing. This is a solid album from top to bottom. It's one of my favorite albums, definitely in my top 10 for sure. And it just, like, the stories on it are great, and the music. It's a kind of album I like to listen to when I feel like just a nice quiet day and not a lot of headache and stuff like that. It's not by any means a heavy album, but it's not, I wouldn't call it a soft album either. So today's album look back is at "Trick of the Tail" from Genesis, their 1976 release, the first album with Phil Collins as lead vocalist. Well worth the purchase. You'll enjoy it if you haven't listened to it. Some people will only listen to Peter Gabriel singing, but you're missing something if you don't listen to this. Anyways, thank you. My name is Murph, and if you like this video, please like it in the bottom, and subscribe if you want me to do more stuff. And you have a great day, and Prog Monsters sounding off.